All right, now look who's here to answer your legal questions. Our senior legal analyst, Tritico. Welcome. Good to see you as always.
Good to see you.
Ready to help some of our viewers?
Let's do it.
All right, let's get going. Here comes our first question. My wife and I divorced 2 years ago, and the divorce was finalized in Illinois since the court in Texas said it didn't have jurisdiction over property there. While I got custody of my daughter and we divided our property 50-50, I have to pay her spousal maintenance. Last June, after 12 years, I lost my job. I then diligently started looking for another job and got it in December. During my search, my ex's attorney wrote me a letter claiming I was purposefully not looking for a job to avoid paying maintenance. This is untrue. I have records of all my efforts and job applications. If my ex-wife accuses me of purposefully not looking for a job without any evidence, do I have a case for libel or slander that I can file in Texas? Does it have to be in writing?
Well, first thing I want to mention, I don't know why the court in Texas would say they didn't have jurisdiction over this case, but that's not your question, but that makes no sense to me. Now, a libel is written, a slander is verbal, and so it doesn't have to be in writing to be defamation. It just depends on the form in which it comes, whether or not the statement is made is defamatory. If your wife makes unproven statements, untrue statements about you not looking for a job, then yes, that can be the basis of a defamation, whether it's written or oral. But you have to have damages. In other words, someone has to believe it and then fire you, not hire you. You have to have some form of damage for that defamation to be actionable. So yes, you can file suit, but I don't know that this is going to be a big high-dollar case. So think about that before you file it. Good luck.
All right, good for him to know for sure. Yeah. All right, next question coming in from Ashan, who writes, I was unfairly fired from my job with a law enforcement agency after 16 years. Several people got together, cheated me, and used deception to get me fired. I want to know how it happened and who was involved. This has caused me hardships. Everyone who asks for evidence gets investigated. My biggest dilemma is that no one is doing proper investigation, and investigators have based their decisions on the employer's word alone, even though they did not do an investigation either. No one asked for any proof from them and ignored my documentation. No attorney wants to take my case when they hear who my former employer is. I hope you will help me get justice.
So, Ashan, look, I don't know that there's any lawyers out there who won't take this case because of who the employer was. There's plenty of lawyers who could care less how big your employer was or how much power they think they have. Most lawyers aren't going to care about that. They're evaluating this case on whether or not there's liability and whether or not they can prove what you claim happened. Now, I'm not suggesting that you didn't get fired and that there wasn't something that went on. The question is that actionable? And that's what the lawyer of your choice has to sit down and go over with you to determine if there's something they can do that will get you compensation. Because this is a governmental agency, they have a lot of immunity. The law gives them immunity, and you may not be able to sue them for the things that you want to sue them for because they'll be immune. So sit down with the lawyers of your choice, talk about the whole thing with them, and have them to explain to you why they're not taking your case. I rather suspect it's because they don't see liability, not because they're afraid of your former employer. Good luck.
That sure is good to know. Yeah. That makes sense. Right. All right, final question coming in from Servium, who writes, a year ago, my dad gave me my brother-in-law $3,500 for the 2007 Ford Edge he was selling. My dad was never able to get him to sign the paperwork to transfer the title into my dad's name. My brother-in-law has refused to do it. Is there a way my dad can get the title transferred without my brother-in-law? If my dad needs a lawyer, what type of attorney would he need to take care of this issue?
All right, well, I'm sorry your dad's going through this. No good deed goes unpunished, does it? Now, the title has to be transferred within 30 days of sale. And if it's not, then it remains in your dad's name. Your dad could have filed a notice of sale with the DPS, and you can find that online. That's supposed to be filed within 30 days of the sale as well. And when you file that notice, whether or not the title ever gets transferred, it puts DPS on notice that your dad no longer owned that car. And that would take liability away from him. The fact that it's been more than 30 days, you're not guaranteed you're not going to be held liable for toll tickets and other things that the car may have. So, but go ahead and get online and get that and file it anyway. I wouldn't hire a lawyer to try to force him to sign the title. It's not worth it in my view. If you don't want to sign the title, don't worry about it. Just file that form and be done with it. Good luck.
Wow, that sounds simple.
Yeah, it's not worth the effort.
Good to know. If you want to send us your legal questions, you can do that through our website, fox26houston.com. Chris's segments are under the Morning News tab. For specific info and advice, always a good idea to contact an attorney of your choice. Chris, thanks for everything.
You bet.
Always so helpful. We're back with your business headlines in just 2 minutes.